Hey, I'm Randy and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, we don't feel like buying things to improve your musical enjoyment experience, your hi-fi experience during the summer should cost more than buying a piping hot cup of coffee from your local gas station. And we're going to talk about 10 of them that don't. Well, some do, but there's some that are free. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about 10 summer hi-fi hacks. Today's sponsor is Raul's Resistors. When you won't compromise on the quality of your resistors, there's only one choice. That's Raul's Resistors. He's over off a Beltline. Okay, hi-fi summer hacks, all right? This idea for the video came because of one product, and that's this right here. That product right there, okay? It's not a speaker, it's not an amp, it's not a DAC, it's not a speaker cable. It's a fan. And I got this fan because it's hot during the summer, and I like to have a little air movement, okay? So regardless of what the temperature is, as long as I've got some air on me, I usually do okay. Problem is, most fans, for me, actually cause listening fatigue. And I went down the rabbit hole so much, I pulled out a real-time analyzer, free download on your phone, to see what frequency the fans were operating at. And almost all of the fans that I had in my house, like pedestal fans like that, were operating between 800 hertz up to about 1200 hertz. And I noticed that I would get pressure on my ears, and when I would go to listen to music, I was more sensitive to those frequencies as well. So I've been looking for what I would consider a quiet fan for a while. And on Prime Day, I took a risk on this one. It's the Polonus. Okay, it's actually operating right now. It's very, very quiet. You can control. It's a very nice fan, as fans go. I was literally going to give an entire review to this thing. Right, you can pop it up. Goes from 1 up to 12, and you can probably hear the air movement now. Okay, so it's going. Get all the way up to 12, and then we'll go down to 1. And you can hear how quiet this thing gets. To the point where I can have this going, and it does not cause any overlap, because any fan you have going is going to cover up those frequencies that it's operating at. Actually, I use a fan as an example. I do some trainings for people at my real job, and I explain signal to noise ratio as you have music playing and you have a fan playing, and you have to increase the volume to overcome the noise from the fan. So I literally use that as an example. Everybody gets it. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You gotta turn up the music because the fan's making noise. This fan is the quietest fan I've ever had, and it has been the single biggest thing, maybe besides the Denafreps, that it has improved my musical enjoyment this summer. And it's a fan. It'll be linked in the description. I think it's about $60. I got it for, I think, $40 on Prime Day. But it is the best $40 I've spent this summer. Second hi-fi hack. Move your speakers around. You'd be surprised at how quickly you can change your musical experience by simply moving either the position of yours truly, or you, or moving the speakers, or both. Actually, I'm going to link the LOTS video, loudspeaker optimization something or other, by New Record Day. Ron, good friend of mine, he does a whole thing about how to move your speakers and then get maybe up into them. Increases the soundstage and imaging. And it can be done for the low price of free. So mess around with your speaker placement. Aim them at you. Aim them away from you. Get into them. Pull them out from the wall. Shove them into the wall. And then give it a chance. Give it a listen in all these different positions. You may find that where you've had them isn't as fun as where you put them next. World's best audio cables. Number 3, hi-fi hack. Okay? There's obviously controversial, the subject of cables and whether or not they make a huge difference. I don't know. I have listened to some cables and I've noticed a difference, but I don't know if it was the cable or what mood I was in, or maybe the humidity in the air. I don't know. But I talked to some people that actually used to own a cable making business, and he kind of put his stamp of approval on the world's best cables. The best thing about them is they are pretty affordable as far as cables go. $25 or $20, something around there. Or you can look at Amazon Basics RCA cables. I think they're about $10. For me personally, if I can spend $25 and I have somewhat of an insurance policy, yet these cables are better than other cables, and I have had an experience where I just bought a bunch of cheap RCA cables and I actually heard feedback noise getting into the system. Could not figure out what it was changing plugs. Lo and behold, it was the RCA cable. Okay, so for $25, buying a decent pair of RCA cables that have kind of been approved by a guy that used to make cables is cheap insurance for me. So if you have one, a DAC or something that you want to make sure that you got some decent cables in there, go for the Amazon Basics or step up to the $25 world's best cables, RCA interconnects. Before I ever started the channel, I was watching a ton of YouTubers talk about audio. Steve Gutenberg used to use a term that confounded me, and that was CD transport. I didn't know what that was. All the years I grew up, we called them CD players. So I thought it was a CD player, but actually it wasn't. It's a CD transport, which means it outputs a digital signal. So there's no RCAs on it. You can't just hook it up to your receiver. You have to run it through a dedicated DAC. Most people would agree that that's probably the best way to go, depending upon how good your DAC is. So you can get a CD transport. Now you can probably go down to your local thrift store or Goodwill and maybe find one. And what you want to look for is a CD player or a DVD player that has digital outputs. Okay, this one happens to have a coaxial digital output. Okay, all right. This thing is a $15 DVD player from Best Buy. I actually bought it new. It was returned, so it was like an open box. Doesn't weigh very much. Probably means it's not great. But if you want to get into physical media and you don't want to go out and spend $300, $400, $500, $600 on a CD transport or even a CD player, go grab an old DVD or Blu-ray player that has a digital out, hook it up to a DAC or hook it up to the DAC in your integrated amp or receiver, and now you have a CD transport. Okay? Which leads me to the next summer hi-fi hack. Physical media. Yeah. Go get yourself a used CD down at Half Price Books or whatever other CD stores you have available, because there is something awesome about physical media. You get it out, you look at it, there's liner notes and everything, you put it in, and then you get to listen to a record or an album in its entirety. I've never been able to say that very well. You can listen to the entire record as the artist intended it, not piecemeal a la carte on a streaming service. No, put a CD in there and listen to it from front to back as the artist intended it. You can still get used CDs for anywhere from $2 on eBay or something, or I've seen normally around $5 to $6 at a used bookstore or used CD store or record store, whatever you want to call it, all the way up to maybe $10. Most of the time you can get a new CD for $10. So instead of spending $200, $300, $400 on a speaker, go grab $100 out of the old ATM and walk down to your used bookstore and buy $100 worth of CDs, and then go buy an old DVD player from Goodwill or something, or get a DVD player with a digital out from Best Buy or something for $15 and listen to some CDs. Here's another free one. I don't know what number we're up to. 5? I don't know. 6? I don't even know. Take the grills off your speaker and listen to them. Sometimes people say that the grills will affect the frequency response. Well, guess what? You can take them on. You can put them on or take them off. You can take them on. You put the grills on or take them off and see if you hear a difference. You may hear a difference, and if so, you've just changed your musical listening experience for free. Go get yourself a trash receiver or like a vintage receiver, okay? I've gone down a rabbit hole, and that is vintage audio. It started when I was at the Polk trash facility, and I picked up a receiver that was thrown in the electronics bin, brought it home, cleaned it up, and lo and behold, it works. And not only does it work, it sounds pretty darn good. So that got me going down the rabbit hole of vintage audio. Well, I went and looked up Marantz and Pioneer and Sansui. Those receivers that work go for a pretty steep price, $300 all the way up to $1,000 or even more. I went back to my roots, which is a Realistic from Radio Shack receiver. You can still find decent deals on Realistic receivers. I got this one for $80, okay? Sounds pretty good. Puts out 16 watts a channel. Doesn't sound like a lot, but guess what? It drives my speakers just fine. And it sounds and looks awesome. And it makes me enjoy the musical experience just by looking at it because it's gorgeous. Pretty tough to beat $80 for a receiver or amplifier that sounds as good as that one sounds. You can still find them. They're Realistic receivers. You do some research on it if you find them, but they're out there. I know because I've purchased 3 within the last week. Purpose-built speaker stands from Monoprice. I've got them over there. I'll put a picture in of what they look like. They're very good. They're about $60 a piece, and they're made to put a speaker on. They're stand mount speakers. I used to make fun of speaker stands. I would say just put them on a bar stool. You can do that, and actually you can put speaker isolation pads underneath them. They're about $15, $20. And you can use those on your desk as well. Not only can you use them, but you can angle the speaker to make it sound different. So you can aim the tweeter at you if you're on a desktop, or just to isolate the speakers from your bar stool. If you get the Monoprice stands, they come with a little foam thing so you can put the speaker right on top. Very heavy. You can fill them up with kitty litter or steel shot or pudding, for all I care, to make them even more inert. Monoprice speaker stands, a pair of them will run you about $120, or you can get yourself a set of wood bar stools and some of those isolation pads for probably $50 or $60 all in. Last but not least, get yourself a cold or warm beverage of your choice and sit back and listen to some sweet tunes that you purchased as a CD or a record, whatever it is, through your trash receiver on your new speaker stands, being cooled by your quiet fan. And enjoy yourself. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to change your listening experience and improve your listening experience. If you want to support the channel, any of the items that I mentioned today that can be purchased will be linked in the description. You can also sign up for Amazon Music. There's a link in the description. Click on the link and you can sign up. I think you get 3 months for free, 3 or 4, and you also get 3 months of Disney Plus for free. You can also sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night, we have patron-only Zooms. We also have a patron-only Facebook group. There is also a summer raffle going on. CSS Audio put up a pair of Crichton 1TD speakers. There's a link. Click on it. It goes to Homes for Our Troops. It's a great charity that I support. It will give you all the details. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Grab yourself a quiet fan, a cool or warm beverage, an old DVD player, some used CDs, and enjoy some music this summer. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.